The rain hammered the rooftop of the old Brooklyn coffee shop like it was trying to drown out the city's pulse, but nothing could silence the raw edge in my voice that night. I slammed my mug down, coffee sloshing over the rim, and spat out the words to my best friend Miah across the scarred wooden table. I swear, after what that bastard did, I'll never fall in love again. It's all just poison wrapped in pretty lies. Little did I know, the guy in the corner booth, nursing a black coffee under the dim amber light, had caught every syllable, his sharp blue eyes locking onto mine like he'd just been handed a challenge he couldn't resist. That stranger, Jordan Hale, as I'd learned too soon, wasn't the type to fade into the background. Tall, with a jawline that could cut glass and a faded leather jacket slung over the back of his seat, he looked like he'd stepped out of one of those gritty indie films where the hero's always one bad decision from redemption. He didn't stare long, just long enough to make my skin prickle, before he stood, tossed a crumpled 5 on his table, and vanished into the storm. I shook it off as paranoia, the kind that creeps in after your ex outs you to your entire conservative family during a heated fight, leaving you jobless, homeless, and questioning if love was ever worth the fallout. But Jordan? He remembered. And in a city like New York, where secrets travel faster than the subway, he made it his mission to unravel mine. Weeks blurred into a haze of temp gigs and late-night shifts at a dingy midtown bar, where the neon signs buzzed like angry hornets and the patrons' stories washed over me like the cheap whiskey they ordered. Miah kept pushing therapy, dating apps, anything to pull me from the pit, but I was done. Love had cost me everything. My spot in the family law firm, my parents' reluctant acceptance after years of whispered prayers for normalcy, even the quiet pride I'd built as an openly gay man in a world that still flinched at the sight. One night, as thunder rattled the windows again, the door swung open, and there he was. Jordan, drenched but smirking, sliding onto a stool like he owned the place. "Rough night?" he asked, voice low and steady, like we'd been trading war stories for years. I froze, mug halfway to my lips, because those eyes, they weren't strangers anymore. He'd heard me, and damn if that didn't ignite something I thought I'd buried for good. He ordered a Scotch neat, no ice, and leaned in just enough to breach the invisible barrier I'd built around my barstool throne. "You know, that coffee shop rant of yours? It's been looping in my head like a bad playlist." My heart jackhammered. How? Why now? But I played it cool, wiping down the counter with more force than necessary. "Eavesdropping's a shitty hobby." I shot back, but there was no venom, just a flicker of curiosity I couldn't stamp out. Jordan chuckled, a sound like gravel under tires, warm despite the chill seeping from his wet shirt. He was a photographer, freelance, the kind who chased stories in the shadows of the city, protests in Harlem, hidden queer spaces in the village, the raw underbelly of dreams deferred. "I'm Jordan," he said, extending a hand calloused from lugging camera gear. "And you're Alex, right? The guy who's swearing off love like it's a flu season." That should have been my cue to bolt, to laugh it off and pour him another drink on the house just to get him gone. But Mia's words echoed. "You're alive, act like it." And before I knew it, we were talking. Not small talk, either. He shared how his own coming out had splintered his Midwestern family, how his sister's Bible-thumping letters still arrived like clockwork, laced with pleas to pray the gay away. It hit too close, mirroring the voicemails from my mom that I deleted without listening. "We love you, but this isn't God's plan." Jordan didn't push, he just listened, his gaze steady, like he was framing me through an invisible lens, capturing the cracks without judgment. By closing time, the rain had eased to a drizzle, and he lingered by the door. "Coffee tomorrow?" My treat. No strings, just to prove not all overhearings end in regret. I hesitated, the word never echoing in my skull, but nodded. What harm in one coffee? Turns out, it was the first thread in a tapestry I never saw coming. The next morning dawned gray and unforgiving, the kind of New York autumn that clings to your bones. I met him at a hole-in-the-wall in Chelsea, where the air smelled of fresh espresso and rain-soaked sidewalks. Jordan was already there, sketching idly on a napkin, quick lines forming the outline of a face that looked suspiciously like mine. "Habit," he said with a shrug when I called him out, sliding the sketch over like it was nothing. But it was everything. My guarded eyes, the faint scar on my chin from a childhood bike crash, rendered with a tenderness that made my throat tighten. We talked for hours, the conversation meandering from favorite dive bars to the sting of rejection letters from galleries that deemed his queer-focused work too niche. He wasn't out to fix me. He was just there, challenging the walls I'd erected with quiet persistence. As days turned to weeks, Jordan became a fixture. Late-night walks along the High Line, where the city lights blurred into constellations, or impromptu picnics in Central Park with takeout from his favorite halal cart. He had this way of seeing people, really seeing them, that disarmed even my sharpest defenses. One evening, as we sat on a bench overlooking the Hudson, he pulled out his camera, not to snap me, but to show me his portfolio. Photos of drag queens mid-performance in smoky clubs, trans activists marching with fierce determination, couples stealing kisses in alleyways away from prying eyes. "This is love," he said softly, scrolling through images of two men holding hands at a pride rally, their faces alight with unapologetic joy. Not the fairy tale crap. The real kind, the one that fights back. I wanted to argue, to cling to my cynicism like a shield, but his words lodged in my chest, stirring something dormant. Yet trust doesn't rebuild overnight, especially when shadows from the past lurk. My ex, Derek, had been charming at first, a high-powered lawyer with a smile that disarmed boardrooms and bedrooms alike. He'd promised forever, then shattered it all when a promotion hinged on fitting in with the firm's old money clients. Outing me wasn't revenge, it was convenience, a way to sidestep his own doubts. The fallout? My parents, devout Catholics from Queens, chose silence over solidarity, their love conditional at best. I moved out, crashed on Mia's couch, and vowed isolation. Jordan knew none of this in detail, but he sensed the fractures. One night, after a particularly grueling shift, he showed up at the bar with a six-pack and that unflappable grin. "Bad day?" he asked, popping a top and handing it over. I unloaded. Derek's betrayal, the family's frost, the gnawing fear that I'd always be the punchline in someone else's story. He didn't interrupt, just let the words spill until I was spent. Then, quietly, "You're not a punchline, Alex. You're the goddamn plot twist." That vulnerability cracked something open, and soon our hangouts deepened. Miah met him over brunch at a queer-friendly spot in the East Village, her initial skepticism melting when he geeked out over her graphic novels. "He's solid," she texted me later, adding a winking emoji that made me roll my eyes. But doubts crept in. Jordan's world was vibrant, unapologetic. Friends from the art scene who threw rooftop parties with rainbow flags waving like battle standards. Mine, a minefield of half-healed wounds. When he invited me to a gallery opening of his work, I almost bailed. The space was in Soho, all exposed brick and pretentious wine, buzzing with the city's creative elite. I felt like an imposter in my thrift store button-down, but Jordan's hand on my lower back steadied me. "You're here because I want you here," he murmured, his breath warm against my ear. The exhibit was raw, a series called Echoes of Us, black and white prints capturing intimate moments of queer resilience. One photo stopped me cold. A man, back turned, staring out a rain-streaked window, his reflection fractured like my own shattered resolve. "That's you," Jordan admitted when I asked, his voice laced with that quiet intensity. The night I overheard. I couldn't shake it. Flattery warred with fear. Was this pity, or something real? Before I could probe, his ex, Evan, a sculptor with tousled blonde hair and a laugh like shattered glass, sauntered up, all easy charm and lingering touches on Jordan's arm. "Missed you at the last critique," Evan said, eyes flicking to me dismissively. The air thickened, old tensions surfacing in Jordan's stiff posture. Their breakup had been messy, Evan accusing Jordan of prioritizing his little photo obsessions over their relationship, but whispers hinted at deeper cuts. Evan's discomfort with Jordan's unfiltered advocacy, the way he'd cringe at public displays. I excused myself to the bar, heart pounding, the old mantra rising, never again. But Jordan followed, cornering me by the cheese platter. "That's not us," he said firmly, searching my face. Evan was fire, bright, but it burned out fast. "You're steady, the kind that lasts." His words hung there, vulnerable and true, but trust is a fragile thing. As the night wore on, Evan's barbs grew sharper, laced with that passive-aggressive edge. Jordan's always collecting strays. It's his hero complex. I laughed it off, but it festered, a seed of doubt in fertile soil. By the time we left, the cab ride home was silent, the city lights streaking past like accusations. The next few days were a tightrope walk. Jordan texted memes and voice notes, his humor a lifeline, but I pulled back, burying myself in shifts and solo runs along the East River. Miah called me out over coffee. "You're sabotaging this before it starts, Alex. Jordan's not Derek, he's fighting for you." She was right, but fear is louder than reason. Then came the twist I never saw. A package arrived at the bar, unmarked but addressed to me. Inside, a leather-bound journal, pages filled with Jordan's scrawled thoughts, entries from that rainy night onward. Heard a guy swear off love tonight. Wonder if he knows how fierce his heart still beats under the armor? Later pages delved deeper. Alex's laugh. Rare, but when it comes, it's like dawn breaking over the bridge. My hands shook as I read, the words peeling back layers I'd forgotten I had. Confrontation was inevitable. I showed up at his Bushwick loft unannounced, journal clutched like evidence. He opened the door in sweatpants and a faded tee, surprise melting into that trademark grin. "Stalker now," he teased, but his eyes were serious. I thrust the book at him. "This, why? You barely knew me." He stepped aside, gesturing me in. The space was chaos incarnate. Prints drying on lines strung across the ceiling, coffee mugs perched on every surface, a half-eaten pizza box from last night. "Because you stuck with me," he said simply, closing the door. That rant. It wasn't just words. It was pain, real and ragged. I wanted to capture it, not to expose, but to honor. We talked until the small hours, circling the unspoken. Attraction, yes, but more, a recognition of souls who'd weathered similar storms. In that raw exchange, barriers crumbled. He shared his own scars, how his father's rejection had left him adrift at 18, couch surfing through college until a professor spotted his talent. I confessed the nights I'd lain awake, wondering if I'd ever outrun the shame my family heaped on. By dawn, as light filtered through grimy windows, his hand found mine. No grand gesture, just fingers intertwining, a quiet promise. "I'm not here to prove you wrong overnight," he whispered. "But let me show you it's possible." I leaned in, foreheads touching, the weight of never lifting just a fraction. For the first time in months, hope didn't feel like a trap. But life doesn't hand out neat resolutions. Enter the conflict that nearly derailed us, my parents' annual Thanksgiving plea. The call came midweek, my mother's voice trembling through the line. "Alex, please. Your father's not well. Come home, just for the holiday. We miss you." The subtext was clear. Swallow your pride, play straight, make nice. I hung up torn, the old guilt gnawing. Jordan noticed immediately, over dinner at a cozy Italian spot in Little Italy. "Go," he urged, twirling pasta like it was no big deal. "But on your terms. I'm not asking you to hide." His support was steel wrapped in silk, but fear whispered, "What if they break you again?" The drive to Queens was a gauntlet of memories. Billboards for megachurches, the church steeple piercing the skyline like a judgment. My childhood home loomed, all vinyl siding and faded American flags, the wreath on the door a mocking symbol of normalcy. Dad's cough echoed from the living room, weaker than I remembered, his frame shrunken in the recliner. Mom hovered, her hug stiff, eyes darting as if expecting a scandal. Dinner was a minefield. Small talk about the weather, the neighbor's new grandbaby, until Uncle Ray, ever the bigot, cracked a joke about those Hollywood types ruining family values. The table froze. I waited for the familiar shutdown, but Dad cleared his throat. "Enough, Ray. Alex's family. That's all." It wasn't absolution, but it was a crack in the facade. That night, alone in my old room with its posters of straight-laced heroes, I texted Jordan a photo of the bedspread, captioned "Surviving the Time Capsule." His reply, "You're braver than you know. Call if you need extraction." The next day brought the Real storm. Mom cornered me in the kitchen, flour-dusted hands wringing an apron. "We prayed for you, son. For healing." The word healing landed like a slap. Code for erasure. I snapped, voice rising. "Healing? From what? Loving who I love. You think that's a disease?" Tears streaked her face, but she didn't back down. "It's not God's way." Dad shuffled in then, leaning on his cane, eyes weary. Mary, let him be. For the first time, he met my gaze squarely. I was wrong, Alex. Scared. But seeing you, gone like that, it hurt more than pride. It wasn't full acceptance, no pride flags on the mantle, but it was progress, fragile as spun glass. Back in the city, I collapsed into Jordan's arms at Penn Station, the weight of the weekend spilling out in sobs I couldn't contain. He held me through it. No words needed, just the steady rhythm of his breathing. That vulnerability forged us closer. Our first real kiss tentative under the awning of his building, rain pattering like applause. It was soft, exploratory, tasting of salt and second chances, not fireworks, but a quiet ignition. See, he murmured against my lips. Not poison. Laughter bubbled up, mingled with tears, and for a moment, the world narrowed to us. Winter gripped New York like a vice, snow blanketing the streets in deceptive purity. Our rhythm settled, mornings tangled in his sheets, afternoons wandering galleries, evenings debating philosophy over takeout. Jordan's friends enveloped me, a motley crew of artists, activists, and oddballs who dubbed me the skeptic turned softy. Miah grilled him relentlessly, but approved with a thumbs up at our first group hangout in a Williamsburg warehouse turned queer art space. Yet beneath the warmth, tension simmered. Evan's shadow lingered. He'd started DMing Jordan. Innocent, check-ins laced with nostalgia. I saw the notifications, jealousy flaring like a struck match. Block him, I urged one night, pacing his loft. Jordan sighed, running a hand through his hair. It's not that simple. He was my first real. Everything. The admission stung, a reminder of histories we couldn't erase. The breaking point came at a holiday party thrown by Jordan's gallery contact. A glittering affair in a Tribeca loft, fairy lights twinkling against floor-to-ceiling windows. I arrived late, fresh from a double shift, nerves jangling. The crowd was intoxicating, burlesque performers mingling with curators, laughter echoing off exposed beams. Jordan spotted me immediately, pulling me into a dance amid the throng, his body fitting against mine like a missing piece. You clean up nice, he teased, fingers tracing my collar. For hours, it was perfect, until Evan appeared, uninvited, champagne flute in hand, his presence a chill wind. He cornered Jordan by the bar, voice pitched low but audible. This new guy's cute. But come on, remember us? That trip to Fire Island. Jordan's jaw tightened, but before he could respond, I stepped in. Evan, right? Heard you're into sculptures. Ever carve your own ego down to size? The room hushed, eyes on us. Evan flushed, retorting with a sneer. Protective much? Jordan doesn't need a guard dog. The barb hit home, dredging up Derek's echoes. Me as the clingy one, the burden. I stormed out, coat forgotten, the cold biting like regret. Jordan caught me on the sidewalk, breathless. Alex, wait. That wasn't what? Me being the jealous idiot again. I whirled, voice cracking. You said steady, but I'm just waiting for the other shoe. He grabbed my arms, eyes fierce. No, you're the one who makes this real. Evan's past, stuck, maybe, but past. We argued under the street lamp, words flying like snowflakes, until exhaustion won. I can't lose you to ghosts, I admitted, voice small. He pulled me close. Then let's bury them. Together. That raw honesty shifted us. We set boundaries, no eye-contact without full disclosure, and dove deeper into each other's worlds. Jordan tagged along to my volunteer gig at a queer youth center in Harlem, where I mentored kids navigating family rifts not unlike my own. Watching him with a shy teen sketching his first pride flag, patience incarnate, cracked my heart wide. In return, I joined his protest shoots, capturing the fury and fire of a rally against anti-LGBTQ bills snaking through Albany. Amid chants and signs, his hand in mine felt like defiance, love as activism. But twists awaited. A leaked photo from the event went viral. Us kissing, blurred but unmistakable. Backlash erupted. Trolls flooded my socials with slurs. My parents called, mom's voice quavering. Is this wise, son? The world's not kind. Dad added gruffly. Proud of you standing tall. Just be safe. Jordan's career spiked. The image symbolized his series, landing him a solo show, but the hate mail piled up, anonymous threats scrawled on gallery walls. One night, As we cleaned up shattered glass from a brick through his window, fear clawed at me. "This is what love costs," I whispered, shards glinting like accusations. He cupped my face, thumb brushing a tear. "Worth every piece." His resolve anchored me, but doubt lingered. Then, the ultimate curveball. Evan's apology email, forwarded by Jordan, revealed a bombshell. Evan was struggling. Depression, isolation post-breakup, and seeing us had triggered a breakdown. "Tell him I forgive," I said, surprising myself. Jordan blinked. "Why? Because holding grudges? That's the real poison." Spring thawed the city, cherry blossoms dusting Washington Square Park like confetti. Our bond, tempered by fire, bloomed. Miah threw us a not-quite-anniversary barbecue on her rooftop, complete with drag trivia and bad karaoke. Laughter came easier, the never a distant echo. Yet climax loomed. Jordan's big show, Fractured Frames, opened at the Whitney, a coup for any artist. I paced backstage, "Ty Askew," as curators milled. Nervous, a familiar voice asked, my dad, standing awkward in an ill-fitting suit, Mom beside him clutching a small potted plant. "Thought we'd see what all the fuss is about," Dad grunted, but his eyes shone. They wandered the exhibit, pausing at Echoes, my portrait front and center. Mom's hand trembled on Dad's arm. "Beautiful," she murmured. "He sees you, Alex. Really sees." The after-party was electric, champagne flowing, accolades raining. But midway, Evan arrived, sober, eyes clear, thanking Jordan quietly, then me. "You didn't have to, but thanks." Redemption, unasked. As the night peaked, Jordan pulled me to the balcony, city sprawl glittering below. "Remember that coffee shop?" he asked, wind tousling his hair. I nodded, heart full. "You proved me wrong." He grinned, that jaw-dropping smile. "Nah, we proved it together." Our kiss was deeper now, seasoned by storms weathered, a vow unspoken. Love wasn't absence of pain, it was choosing it every time. Months later, summer heat waved over Coney Island, boardwalk alive with screams from the cyclone. Jordan and I raced the pier, cotton candy staining fingers, his laughter chasing away lingering shadows. We'd moved in together, a tiny walk-up in the Lower East Side, walls lined with his prints and my law books. I'd enrolled in night classes, chasing that deferred dream. Miah visited weekly, dubbing our place Love Lab. My parents? Tentative calls evolved to brunches. Dad even asking about Jordan's work with a gruff, impressive stuff. Not perfect, but healing. One evening, as dusk painted the skyline, Jordan knelt by our fire escape garden, tiny herbs in cracked pots. "Alex," he started, voice steady, pulling a simple band from his pocket, engraved with echo. "I overheard you once. Now, marry me. Let's make the story ours." Tears blurred the city lights. "Yes," I breathed, pulling him up. 1,000 times. In that moment, amid the hum of life unbroken, I knew love wasn't a fall. It was flight, wings earned through tempests, soaring toward horizons we'd claimed together. The wedding was small, queer as hell, a rooftop in Brooklyn at sunset, officiated by a drag queen elder from the center. Friends cheered, rainbows arching overhead like blessings. Vows exchanged rings of laughter and tears. Jordan's, "You were my muse before you knew my name." Mine, "I swore off love. You showed me it's the only vow worth keeping." As we danced under string lights, Miah whooping, my parents clapping from the sidelines, Dad's not a quiet triumph. I felt it, whole. Years folded like well-worn pages. Jordan's exhibits toured, my practice thrived. Pro bono for queer families, fighting the fights we'd lived. Twists came. A miscarriage scare with our planned adoption, a gallery scandal that tested loyalties, but we navigated, hands clasped. One rainy night, echoing that first, our son, adopted from a foster system that nearly broke him, asked, "Daddy, what's love?" Jordan knelt, blue eyes twinkling. "It's overhearing a heart and deciding to harmonize." I smiled, pulling them close. In the downpour's rhythm, we'd found our proof. Love endures, defiant and deep. Echoes of that rainy night lingered long after the coffee shop faded into memory, but Jordan had a knack for turning echoes into symphonies. Our first real date, though neither of us labeled it as such, was a spontaneous detour to the Brooklyn Museum after our Chelsea coffee. He dragged me through the Egyptian wing, whispering conspiracies about pharaohs and forbidden loves etched in hieroglyphs. "See this," he said, pointing to a faded mural of two figures entwined, their faces blurred by time. They didn't care about eternity's judgment, just each other. His finger traced the stone, mirroring how his gaze often traced me. Gentle, insistent, unearthing layers I kept buried. I laughed, deflecting with a quip about curses, but inside, the parallels stung sweet. Who was I to deny a connection that felt predestined? Back on the street, the autumn chill nipped at our heels as we wandered toward Prospect Park. Leaves crunched underfoot, gold and crimson carpeting the paths like spilled secrets. Jordan stopped at a vendor cart, buying us roasted chestnuts that warmed our palms. "Tell me something true," he prompted, popping one into his mouth, steam curling like a question mark. I hesitated. Truths were dangerous commodities in my arsenal. But his eyes, that piercing blue, held no traps. "I used to dream of being a lawyer," I admitted, the words rusty from disuse. "Fighting for people like us." "Then, life," he nodded, "no pity, just understanding. Still can. Dreams don't expire, they hibernate." His optimism was infectious, a balm against the cynicism I'd armored myself with. By the time we reached the park's edge, stars pricking the deepening sky, I'd shared more than planned. Childhood hideouts in Queens, the thrill of my first Pride March, the ache of Derek's goodbye. He walked me to my subway stop, the platform humming with late commuters. "This was good," he said, lingering as the train rattled in. Our goodbye was a brush of shoulders, electric but chaste, leaving me buzzing all the way to Mia's couch. She pounced the moment I walked in, eyes gleaming. "Spill. Was it a date or a therapy session?" I groaned, flopping down with a bag of leftover chestnuts. "Both? Neither? God, he's disarming." She smirked, stealing a nut. "Disarming's dangerous for walls like yours. Proceed with caution, or not." Her advice echoed as I lay awake, Jordan's sketch burning a hole in my pocket. What if caution was just fear in disguise? The bar shifts blurred, but Jordan's texts punctuated the monotony, photos of street art he'd stumbled on. Captions like "reminds me of your stubborn spark." I replied in kind, tentative at first, then freer. Links to podcasts on queer history, memes about bad exes. One slow Tuesday, he appeared during my break, camera slung over his shoulder. "Escape plan," he announced, jerking his thumb toward the door. "Rooftop in the village, sunset's killer." I should have said no. Exhaustion tugged like an anchor, but curiosity won. We cabbed it over, climbing rickety fire escapes to a hidden perch overlooking the chaos below. The sun dipped, painting the skyline in fire, and Jordan snapped away. Not me, but the city, framing chaos into poetry. "Ever think about modeling?" he asked idly, lowering the lens. I snorted. "For what? Brooding bartender monthly." He turned, serious now. "For real. Your face tells stories." Heat crept up my neck, not flattery, but sincerity. We sat then, legs dangling over the edge, sharing a thermos of spiked hot chocolate. He opened up about his own dreams deferred, a book deal for Echoes, stalled by a publisher too risk-averse for queer narratives. "They want pretty pain, not the messy truth," he said, frustration edging his voice. I saw him then, not the unflappable artist, but a man bruised by the same industry that exalted him. "Screw them," I said fiercely. "Your truth's gold." His smile was slow, grateful, and when our hands brushed, neither pulled away. That touch lingered, a promise deferred. Back at the bar, the night crowd surged. Wall Street types slurring orders, a bachelorette party shrieking show tunes. Amid the din, doubt resurfaced. Was this real, or just rebound theater? Mia's couch confessions helped. "Jordan's eyes light up around you, Alex. That's not acting." Still, when he invited me to meet his circle, a potluck at his friend Lena's in Bed-Stuy, I balked. "Too soon," I texted. His reply, "No rush. Just wanted you to see my chaos." Guilt gnawed. I was the bottleneck. The next day, resolve hardened. "I'm in," I messaged. "Bring your appetite and your armor?" He joked back. Lena's brownstone was a riot of color. Murals splashed across walls, incense curling from every corner. Her crew was a tapestry, trans poet with a voice like velvet thunder, non-binary DJ spinning vinyl, a lesbian couple who'd met at a protest and never looked back. They welcomed me like an old comrade, piling plates with curry and plantains. Jordan stuck close, his knee bumping mine under the table, a silent anchor. Stories flowed. Lena's battle with City Hall over her bookstore's indecent displays. The DJ's gig cancellations post-Supreme Court leaks. Laughter undercut the heaviness, but when the DJ asked about us, Jordan's hand found mine atop the table. "Alex is the guy who overheard my heart first," he said, winking. The room awed, and I blushed, but warmth spread. No judgment, just belonging. Walking home through starlit streets, buzzed on rum punch and camaraderie, I stopped him under a stoop light. "Your people, they're incredible." He leaned in, forehead to mine. "They're yours now, too." The kiss that followed was inevitable, soft at first, then deepening with the pent-up charge of weeks. His lips tasted of spices and certainty, hands framing my face like I was his most prized frame. We broke apart gasping, grins mirroring. "About damn time," I murmured. He laughed, pulling me closer. "Told you. Not all overhearings end in regret." From there, momentum built. Mornings became ours, lazy brunches at diners with greasy spoons and bottomless coffee. He'd sketch while I read case law PDFs on my phone, dreaming aloud of that firm. One crisp November day, we hiked the Palisades across the river, leaves ablaze, the Hudson snaking below like a silver vein. At the summit, wind whipping, he proposed a pact, one fear conquered per month. "Yours first." I balked. "Easy for you, Mr. Fearless," but agreed. "Mine?" Calling my parents, not for reconciliation, but closure. The drive to Queens was silent torture, phone burning in my pocket. Dad answered, voice gruff. "Alex." No warmth, but no ice either. "Just wanted to say, I'm moving forward. With or without." Pause. "Proud of that," he rumbled. "Always was." Click. Tears blurred the road home, but lighter. Jordan's turn, confronting his sister's latest letter, the one preaching salvation. He read it aloud over wine, voice steady till it cracked. "She means well," he said, crumpling it. I rubbed his back. "Doesn't make it right." He burned it in the sink that night, flames dancing like exorcism. "Your turn next month," he teased, but his eyes held gratitude. Holidays loomed, a gauntlet. I braced for solitude, but Jordan plotted. "Tree trimming with the crew. Your place or mine?" "Mine." Cramped, but claimed. We strung lights on Mia's ficus, baked cookies that charred, belted carols off-key. His gift? A custom camera strap, embroidered framed the future. Mine? A leather portfolio for his pitches. As midnight tolled, his arms around me from behind, I whispered, "Merry Christmas, eavesdropper." "Best plot twist ever," he replied. But January brought frost to more than sidewalks. Evan's texts escalated, late-night vents about loneliness, veiled pleas for reconnection. Jordan shared them, transparent as glass, but unease stirred. "He's spiraling." Jordan explained over breakfast, scrolling deletes. "Feels guilty for the breakup." I nodded, but jealousy coiled. "Just be careful." He squeezed my hand. "Always." Work piled too. My temp agency gig soured with a homophobic supervisor's jokes, whispers of complaints if I acted up. Jordan urged quitting. "You're worth more." I did, on a whim, landing a paralegal spot at a small firm specializing in civil rights. First day, nerves jangled, but the lead attorney, a no-nonsense dyke with silver streaks, clapped my shoulder. "Welcome to the fight." Balance tipped when Jordan's gallery scout called, a feature in Lens magazine, but with a catch, profile Evan's influence on his early work. "It's PR," he assured me, pacing. "Not personal." But at the interview, Evan's name slipped too easily, nostalgia tinting Jordan's tone. I read the draft online, heart sinking at the praise. Evan's fire ignited Hale's lens. Dinner that night was tense, forks clinking like accusations. "It's history," he defended. "Not now." "Feels like now." I countered, voice rising. "Am I just the rebound frame?" Silence stretched, hurtful. He reached across. "No, you're the whole album." We talked till dawn, airing insecurities, my fear of being sidelined, his guilt over Evan's pain. Resolution, therapy, joint sessions to unpack baggage. First appointment. The counselor's office smelled of chamomile, her questions gentle scalpels. What do you need? She asked. Jordan. To build, not just capture. Me. To trust the exposure. Spring hinted with crocuses pushing through concrete, mirroring our thaw. Joint runs along the reservoir became ritual, breaths sinking, strides matching. One bloom-dotted morning, Jordan veered us to a bench, camera idle. Remember the pact? My next fear, asking you to stay. He pulled a key from his pocket, his loft. Not forever. Just more mornings. Heart hammering, I took it. Yes. But my chaos too. Law books, bad coffee habits. He grinned. Deal. Moving day was comedy. Boxes tumbling downstairs. Miah directing like a general. Don't scratch the art, she barked, but hugged us fierce at the end. You too? Endgame. Settled in, rhythms wove tighter. Evenings cooking disasters. Burnt stir-fries redeemed with takeout. Morphed to masterpieces. Jordan's show prep consumed weekends. Prints pinned everywhere. Our space a gallery in progress. I contributed, hanging frames, debating angles. This one's crooked, I'd say straightening. Like my heart before you. He'd retort, kissing my neck. Intimacy deepened, not rushed, but reverent. Bodies learning maps in moonlight. Whispers of futures, adoptions, travels to queer festivals abroad. But shadows lengthened with news. Anti-LGBT bills gaining traction in Congress. Protests brewing. Jordan dove in, camera ready. Coming, he asked. I hesitated. Work crunch, but nodded. Wouldn't miss framing history with you. The march on D.C. was electric fury. Signs thrusting skyward, chants thundering. We linked arms amid the throng, Jordan snapping, me shielding his flank. A scuffle erupted, cops clashing with counter-protesters, and chaos swallowed us. I lost him in the surge, panic spiking. Shouts, tear gas haze. Then, his hand in mine, pulling to safety. Got you, he gasped, coughing. Back on the bus home, bruised but unbroken, we clung. That was too close, I murmured. Worth it, he replied. For them. For us. That night, wrapped in each other, the world outside faded. Love, I realized, wasn't shelter from storms. It was the raft we built together. Summer sizzled in, fireflies dancing in park glades. Our anniversary, 6 months since the key, fell on a heatwave. Jordan planned a surprise. Ferry to Governor's Island, picnic under stars. Basket unpacked. Cheeses, berries, that spiked chocolate. To us, he toasted, clinking bottles. Fireworks burst overhead, mirroring the spark in his eyes. Alex, he said, serious amid the booms. You're my constant. I kissed him then, fierce. And you're my variable, the one that changes everything. But autumn circled back, leaves falling like warnings. Evan's crisis peaked. A call at 2 a.m., slurred sobs. Jordan went to him, alone, at my insistence. Help him. I'll be here. Hours stretched, doubt gnawed. Dawn brought him home, exhausted. He's checking into rehab, he said, collapsing beside me. Relief warred with weariness. You did right, I whispered, holding him. In the quiet, trust solidified, no more ghosts. Holiday lights twinkled prematurely in shop windows as November deepened, but the warmth in Jordan's loft chased away the encroaching chill. We'd turned the space into a cocoon, fairy lights draped over beams, a threadbare rug from a flea market anchoring our mornings. Yet beneath the domesticity, undercurrents stirred. My new job at the firm was a whirlwind. Depositions on discrimination suits, late nights poring over precedents that echoed my own scars. Jordan thrived in the chaos too, his fractured frame series gaining buzz, scouts circling like vultures scenting blood. Solo show potential, he'd say over dinner, eyes alight, but I'd catch the flicker, imposter syndrome gnawing at even his steel. Thanksgiving loomed like a specter, my parents' invitation a barbed hook. Just dinner, Mom had pleaded on the phone, her voice thin as onion skin. Your father's asking for you. Dad's health scare, a mild heart episode, had softened edges, but old wounds festered. Jordan sensed my turmoil, brewing tea in our mismatched mugs. Go if you want. I'll hold the fort. His nonchalance masked concern. We'd argued this before, my guilt versus his protectiveness. What if it's a setup, he asked once, voice low. Prayers and passive digs. I waved it off, but the fear lingered. Ultimately, I declined, citing work. Relief mixed with regret as I hung up. Jordan pulled me onto the couch. Movie cued, some campy queer rom-com. Our feast, he declared, popping popcorn. Miah crashed too, turning it into a trio of bad puns and worse dancing. Laughter healed what calls couldn't. But family ties tugged elsewhere. Jordan's sister, Clara, announced a visit, flying in from Ohio for a reconciliation weekend. Her emails had evolved from fire and brimstone to tentative olive branches. I've been reading. Praying differently. Skepticism warred with hope in Jordan's voice as he prepped the guest futon. She's trying, he said, fluffing pillows. I nodded, but braced. Holidays amplified fault lines. Clara arrived Friday, petite and prim in a wool coat. Her hug for Jordan stiff but genuine. Me? A polite handshake, eyes appraising. Dinner was pasta, neutral ground, but conversation mined old veins. The church group's progressive now, she ventured, twirling noodles. Even discussed. Orientations. Jordan's fork paused. Good for them. Tension hummed until she turned to me. Jordan speaks highly. Says you're studying him. Blush rising, I murmured thanks. By night's end, over board games, barriers chipped, her laugh genuine at my Monopoly. Saturday brought the real test. A walk in the park, Clara probing gently. How'd you two meet? The eavesdropping tale drew a gasp, then a smile. Sounds like fate's eavesdropper. Back home, she confessed over cocoa. I was wrong, Jordy. Feared losing you two. Difference. But losing you hurt worse. Tears glistened. Jordan's arm around her, mine linking his. We're family, I said softly. All of us. She left Sunday with promises. Monthly calls, a pride visit next summer. The loft felt lighter, echoes quieter. You were brilliant, Jordan said, kissing my temple. We were. That night, tangled in sheets, whispers wove dreams. Someday, our table, full of chosen and blood. December dusted the city in sugar, but heat built in boardrooms. My firm took a high-profile case. A trans teen suing her school for misgendering policies, the media circus descending. I assisted, drafting briefs till eyes burned, Jordan's notes on my desk like lifelines. Fuel up, warrior. His own whirlwind peaked. A pitch meeting for the book deal, echoes unbound. They bit. He burst in one evening, scooping me off the floor in a spin. Celebration was cheap wine and rooftop toasts, city sprawl our confetti. But success bred scrutiny. A conservative blog unearthed his agenda, labeling the series propaganda. Hate mail surged. Ugly slurs scrawled on envelopes. Jordan shrugged it off publicly, but at home, I'd find him staring at walls, camera untouched. One blizzard-bound night, after a particularly vile voicemail, repent or burn, he snapped. Why fight when it's this? Voice raw. He paced, shadows long. I drew him down, hands framing his face. Because your lens changes eyes. Mine included. Story spilled. His first camera, a hand-me-down from an uncle who got it. The shots that saved him from despair. You're saving me now, he admitted. We burned the letters in the sink. Flames devouring venom, rising like phoenix. To ash, we toasted. Spring's promise whispered in the melt. New Year dawned crisp, resolutions scribbled on napkins. Mine, finish a certification course. His, collaborate on a zine with the youth center kids. January thawed into collaborations. Me editing his captions for authenticity, him photographing mock trial setups for the firm. Miah dubbed us Power Duo, hosting game nights where bets flew on our inevitable engagement. Not yet, Jordan say, winking at me. Building the frame first. But romance simmered. Valentine's at a speakeasy jazz club, his gift a locket with our first sketch miniaturized inside. Mine, tickets to a photography workshop in the Catskills. Escape, I said. Us, unplugged. The retreat was magic. Cabins nestled in evergreens. Workshops by day, stargazing by night. Jordan thrived, lenses capturing dew-kissed ferns, my profile in firelight. Evenings, we'd hike trails hand in hand. Silences companionable. One dusk, by a frozen lake, he stopped. Alex, this, us, it's my best shot. Kiss under aurora hints, breath clouds mingling. Back in the city, recharged, we tackled a joint project. A photo essay for the center, my interviews paired with his images. Teens opened up. Fears of rejection, dreams of visibility. One boy's words haunted. I want to be seen, not stared at. Jordan's shot of him, gaze defiant, captured it. Submission landed us a feature in a local mag, ripples spreading. But ripples turned to waves. Evan's rehab stint ended clean, but relapse loomed in sporadic texts, grateful, but lonely. Jordan set boundaries, weekly check-ins, no more, but guilt shadowed him. I confronted it over park bench therapy, ducks quacking indifference. You're not his savior, I said gently. Just a friend. He exhaled. Hard. When he was my first anchor. Vulnerability bridged us. That night, we wrote letters. To past selves, forgiving fractures. Mine burned old Derek photos. His, Clara's, early missives. Clean slate, we agreed. Spring equinox brought bloom. Cherry festivals, our first couples counseling check-in. Solid, the therapist beamed. Work flourished. My cert landed a promotion, junior associate with a corner in the fight. Jordan's book deal finalized. Advance buying us a weekend in Provincetown. Queer haven, dunes whispering secrets. There, amid whale watches and drag brunches, he proposed collaboration eternal. Marry our worlds? Not the ring, but the intent. I laughed, salt air tangy. Thought you'd never ask. Return brought tempests. National news of rollback bills, protests igniting. We marched again, this time with the center kids, signs aloft. Adrenaline surged, but post-march, exhaustion hit. Curled on the couch, Jordan's head in my lap, I stroked his hair. Tired. Fulfilled, he murmured. With you. Summer teased with heat, our rhythm a dance. Case wins, exhibit openings, lazy Sundays and sheets. Twists. A surprise visit from my parents, unannounced, awkward, bearing lasagna. Heard about the promotion. Dad grunted, eyeing Jordan's prints. Nice work. Conversation halting, but present. Mom touched a photo. You look happy. Small victories. Independence Day exploded in fireworks, our rooftop party ablaze. Friends, flags, freedom. As booms echoed, Jordan pulled me aside. 1 year since the key, he said, slipping a chain with a tiny key fob. To more doors. Tears pricked. Love, I saw, was keys, not locks. As summer's humidity thickened the air, our life in the Lower East Side pulsed with the city's unyielding energy. Street fairs hawking falafel and zines, hydrants spraying kids in a makeshift monsoon. Jordan and I had carved a routine that felt less like compromise and more like harmony. My early firm mornings met his late-night darkroom sessions, converging in midnight snacks of bodega heroes. But harmony, I've learned, is just tension resolved, and ours was tested when a client at work, a closeted executive suing for wrongful termination, recognized me from that viral rally photo. You're the guy, he hissed in the conference room, eyes darting. The kiss. Discreet, please? Resentment flared. I was fighting for his secrets while guarding my own joy. Jordan listened that evening, lens cap twisting in his fingers. Boundaries, babe. Protect your light. His advice grounded me, but the case dragged, depositions dredging uglier truths. Boardroom whispers of lifestyle choices, costing promotions. Nights, I'd vent over his shoulder as he edited proofs, the blue glow illuminating his furrowed brow. It's exhausting, I admitted one evening, head on his back. Fighting shadows. He paused, turning. Then let me capture the light ones. He did, snapping candids of me poring over files, determination etched fierce. Those prints adorned our fridge, reminders. I wasn't just surviving, thriving. The case settled favorably, a quiet win, but the executive's curt thanks stung. Gratitude's optional. Jordan quipped later, toasting with seltzer. Impact's not. Across town, Jordan's orbit spun faster. The book launch loomed, echoes of us, bound in matte black, his name embossed proud. Pre-release buzz hummed. Readings at indie bookstores, podcasts dissecting the queer gaze. But imposter whispers grew, reviews trickling in, one from a major outlet calling it earnest but uneven, more activism than art. He hit it well, but I found the tab open, his jaw tight as he scrolled. Hey, I said, closing the laptop. Uneven means real. Perfect's for posers. He leaned into me, sigh heavy. What if they're right? Vulnerability rare, it cracked my heart. We walked it off, midnight stroll to the bridge, Manhattan's glow a distant fire. Your art changed me, I said, railing cold. That's the measure. He squeezed my hand. Then you're my masterpiece. Launch night was electric. A packed venue in NoHo, air thick with perfume and anticipation. Jordan paced backstage, Ty Askew, while I mingled. Lena hawking signed copies, Miah corralling the bar line. Clara flew in, beaming from the front row, her presence a shield against doubters. As he took the mic, voice steady, he scanned the crowd, locked on me. This book isn't mine alone, he said, pages fanned. It's for the voices overheard, the hearts that dared. Applause thundered, signings stretched till closing. One fan, a teen with teary eyes, clutched her copy. You made me brave. Jordan's grin post-event was luminous, worth every uneven line. We celebrated after, dive bar dives, shots of something cheap, dancing till sweat slicked. Home, tangled and triumphant, his whisper, couldn't without you. Fall crispened edges, leaves skittering like urgent memos. My caseload ballooned, a class action against a chain for discriminatory hiring. Interviews with plaintiffs whose stories mirrored mine, sidelined for fit, whispers of don't ask, don't tell in modern drag. Jordan tagged along to one, camera discreet, capturing not faces but hands, clenched, open, resilient. Testimony in texture, he called it. The piece ran in the firm's newsletter, humanizing stats. But toll mounted, nightmares of Derek's betrayal, waking sweat damp. Jordan held me through them, murmurs soothing. Past prologue, he'd say. Therapy helped unpack, sessions where I voiced the rage at conditional love. Jordan sharing his drift after family fracture. We're rewriting, the counselor noted. Progress, incremental. Twist arrived via email. An invite to my law school's alumni gala. Ironic, given my dropout saga. Reconnect? The dean wrote, oblivious. Jordan pushed, go. On the room. Dressed sharp, I entered the ballroom. Chandeliers dripping light. Faces from yesteryear blurring. Derek was there, poised at a table, arm around a new partner, eyes widening on me. Approach inevitable, small talk barbed. Heard you're litigating now, he said, smile tight. Brave. Necessary, I replied, chin up. Jordan's text buzzed. Slaying dragons? Strength surged. I networked fierce. Cards exchanged. Old mentors nodding approval. Exit triumphant. Derek's gaze lingering. Regret? Envy? Home. Jordan waited with whiskey. How'd it go? Debrief dissolved into laughter, then more. You faced the ghost, he marveled. We both did. Winter's grip tightened. Holidays a double-edged blade. Clara's second visit overlapped my parents' tentative thaw, an invite to neutral ground, a holiday market in Union Square. Awkward alchemy. Mom's scarves clashing Clara's cross necklace, Dad grumbling at mulled wine, while Jordan charmed with photo tips. Conversation tiptoed. Weather, work, till Mom asked Clara, family close. Clara's glance at Jordan. Closer every day. Bridge built, fragile. Later, alone with Dad by a tree lot, he cleared throat. That book, your man's. Read it. Stirred things. Pause. Sorry, son. For the silence. Hug brief. Bearish. Tears mine. Jordan, witnessing, squeezed my shoulder. Milestone. New Year's resolution. A trip. Queer Palm Springs. February escape. Flights delayed. But arrival was oasis. Pools azure. Mountains guarding secrets. Days blurred in hikes and hot springs. Nights in cabanas with craft cocktails. One sunset soak. Steam rising. Jordan turned serious. Alex, life's short. Storms prove it. Marry me. Not ring, but words waited. Heart full, I nodded. Yes. Frame forever. Laughter bubbled. Plans sketched on napkins. Small. Ours. Return invigorated, but reality reeled. Protests reignited. Supreme Court whispers of reversals. Streets seething. We joined a vigil. Candles flickering defiance. A counter-protester's shout. Freaks. Shattered the hush. Scuffle ensued. Jordan shielding a kid. Bruise bloomed on his cheek. My fury iced. Home. Ice packs and outrage. This can't be normal, I raged. It isn't, he said, I swelling. But neither are we. That's the power. His lens turned to the vigil's aftermath. Candles guttered. Faces resolute. Exhibit born. Vigil light. Spring showered renewal. Our engagement quiet. Text to Miah. Finally. Clara, tears here. Parents? A call. Mom's gasp. Dad's wins the date. Acceptance budding. Work peak. Class action victory. Headlines praising trailblazers. Jordan's follow-up show booked. Whitney affiliate. Synchronicity. But climax brewed in Evan's shadow. Relapse hit hard. Overdose scare. Hospital call. Jordan rushed. I insisted. Go. Heal the old. Hours later, return hollow-eyed. He's stabilizing. Blames himself. For us, everything. Empathy warred with wariness. Forgive? I asked. Trying. We attended his outpatient group. Peripheral, support silent. Evans nod. Thanks. For seeing. Closure, bittersweet. Summer solstice party. Our pre-wedding, bash, rooftop under solstice sun. Friends toasting, dances wild. As dusk fell, Jordan pulled me to edge. Ready? Ring simple, silver, etched overheard. Knee drop amid cheers. Alex, prove me right forever? Already have. I whispered. Yes, eternal. The ring's weight was a talisman. Cool silver grounding me through the firm's frenzy as autumn leaves swirled like legal briefs in the wind. Jordan's Whitney show prep dominated. Mock-ups taped floor to ceiling. Our loft a labyrinth of canvas and critique. Too stark? He'd ask, pinning a print. I'd counter, Stark's honest, like us. His laugh would echo, chasing doubts. But pressure mounted. Curators nitpicking angles, a sponsor balking at political overtones. Jordan's nights shortened, sleep fractured by revisions. I'd wake to his silhouette by the window, city lights etching worry lines. Come back to bed. I'd murmur, arms open. He'd slide in, head on my chest. You're my North Star. Whispers wove us through. Engagement news rippled. Mia's squeal over brunch, planning takeover imminent. Beach? Rooftop? Vows and legalese. Clara's visit cemented alliances. Her wedding Pinterest bored a whirlwind of rainbows and recipes. Parents' reaction evolved. Mom mailing swatches, ivory dear. Dad grumbling approval over phone. Hail's all right. Treat you right. A joint dinner loomed. Test run in our space. Table set simple. Candle stubs, takeout tie. Air thick with subtext. Mom's eyes on the ring. Clara's cross glinting. Talk veered to ceremonies. Traditional? Dad asked. Jordan's grin. Ours. Laughter bridged gaps. By dessert, toasts clinked. Family forged. Winter holidays fused festivities. Hanukkah lax from Lena's kin. Christmas tree trimmed with photo ornaments. Our story in snapshots. New Year's, we escaped to a cabin upstate, snow blanketing pines. Fireplace crackled as we swapped resolutions. Mine, delegate cases for balance. His, boundary set with sponsors. Midnight kiss under Aurora teas. Champagne fizzing like futures. To chapters unwritten, he toasted. Return brought bloom. Firm partnership whispers. His show confirmed for spring. But undercurrents churned. Evan's recovery steadied, but a job loss triggered spiral. Texts pleading talk. Jordan fielded, firm. Therapy first. I supported, but fatigue crept. Am I enough anchor? His arms tightened. Always the primary. Therapy unpacked. My codependency fears, his rescuer traps. Team, we affirmed. Spring erupted. Cherry blossoms framing the Whitney opening. Gala night, black tie buzz. Jordan tucked sharp, me in tailored gray. Exhibit vigil light stunned. Walls pulsing with resilience. My interview quotes etched beside. Patrons murmured. Critics nodded. Clara teared. Parents awed. Dad. Moves you. After party swirled. But we slipped away. Bridge walk. You did this, I said, hand in his. We. Press hailed it. Hale's lens illuminates. Book sales spiked. Post-glow, wedding whirlwind. Venue scout in the Catskills. Rustic barn, mountain views. Mia's spreadsheet tyranny. Guest list, 50 max. Vows, poetic, not stuffy. Rings custom, twisted silver, echo inscribed. Showers rained. Queer bake-off from friends. Tools for our toolkit. Lube? No. Lawn darts, winking. Climax crashed midsummer. Leak of wedding details to a tabloid. Twisted. Activists' lavish gay bash. Troll storm followed. Slurs. Threats. Jordan's phone buzzed venom. My inbox death wishes. Panic peaked. Venue calls canceling due to controversy. Heart sank, stolen joy. We rallied. Emergency meeting at Mia's wine-fueled war room. Screw them, Lena declared. DIY it. Pivot. City Hall simple. Reception our rooftop. Intimate. Defiant. Invites reframed. Love's protest. RSVPs flooded. Parents doubled down. Mom, we'll stand. Rehearsal dinner intimate. Back alley Italian. Toasts raw. Dad's speech stumbled. Lost words once. Found him now, love you, son. Clara's poem brought sobs. Wedding eve, Jordan and I bunked apart. Tradition twist. Mia's couch, nerves electric. Dawn broke golden, city stirred. Day of, June solstice, sun high. City hall austere, but love gilded. Us in linen suits, rings exchanged under rainbow flag. Officiant, a trans elder. In defiance, you unite. Vows, Jordan's, you overheard my soul, I vow harmony. Mine, I swore never, you proved eternal. Kiss sealed, cheers erupted. Rooftop reception, string lights, skyline witness. Dances wild, drag DJ spinning anthems. Cake smashed, speeches slayed. Parents mingled, dad slow dancing mom. Learned from the best. Fireworks finale, Jordan's arm around me. Husband, he whispered. Husband. Honeymoon. Amalfi whispers canceled. We chose road trip. Route 66 queer stops. Motels with neon hearts. Deserts stretched. Stories deepened. Back. Life layered. My partnership offer. His Guggenheim Fellowship nod. Adoption talks formalized. Home study. Dreams of tiny feet. First anniversary. Coffee shop return. Mugs raised. To overhearings, I toasted. His grin. And proofs. Anniversaries stacked like building blocks, each marking growth amid the grind. 2 years in, our loft expanded. Spare room converted to office/studio hybrid. Walls bearing dual legacies. Case files stacked beside enlargers. Jordan's Guggenheim funded a residency in Berlin. Queer archives dive, but he negotiated remote, unwilling to uproot us mid-adoption waitlist. Our family's priority, he'd say, hand on my knee during agency calls. The process was labyrinth. Interviews probing stability. Home visits dissecting decor for safety. One social worker eyed our prints askance. Graphic. Till Jordan's portfolio flipped her. Art that teaches resilience. Clearance came spring, match tentative. A 4-year-old boy, foster weary, eyes wide as saucers. First meeting at the agency, neutral ground with toys scattered like decoys. Theo, named for theorists, we learned, clutched a truck, curls wild, gaze assessing. Like cars. Jordan knelt, offering a Hot Wheels. Nod shy, then grin, dimples like Jordan's. My heart clenched, paperwork blurred to signatures. Homecoming chaotic. Car seat installs, midnight bottles. Sleepless nights bonded us. Jordan rocking, me pacing, lullabies improvised. You're ours, I'd whisper to his downy head. Milestones mounted. First steps wobbling to us. Words tumbling. Dada J, Papa, A. Pride swelled, fierce. Work balanced precariously. My caseload crested with a landmark suit, challenging state adoption biases against queer parents. Irony sharp, but I poured in, Jordan documenting plaintiff stories for a side project. Media spotlighted. Interviews where I'd credit him. My muse, my mirror. Backlash bit. Op-eds decrying indoctrination, but wins outweighed. Ruling favorable, ripples nationwide. Jordan's Berlin trip coincided, solo but live-streamed. Theo's gurgles backdrop to his archive dives. Miss you both, he'd sign off, pixelated kiss. Theo's integration twisted tenderly. Preschool jitters, my hand in his tiny one. Safe, he'd ask, echoing our reassurances. Playdates with center kids bloomed friendships. Diverse tribe, teaching tolerance innate. Holidays amplified magic. Theo's wonder at lights. Clara's visits with Ohio snowman crafts. Parents evolved. Grandma/grandpa titles embraced. Mom baking cookies with rainbow sprinkles. Traditions adapt, she said, apron dusted. Challenges crested. Theo's night terrors, echoes of foster moves, screams piercing dark. We'd tag team, stories soothing till dawn. Therapy for him. Us, family sessions, unpacking roots. Jordan's next exhibit, inherited frames. Wove our tapestry. Theo's blurry first beside rally resilience. Opening night, toddler tuxedoed, toddling amid admirers. Critics raved. Hale's evolution, from observer to architect. 3 years wed, a quiet vow renewal. Backyard with Miah officiating, Theo ring bearer in sneakers. Vows updated. Through tantrums and triumphs. Life's plot thickened. My firm's expansion, branch in D.C., Jordan's TEDx talk on visual activism. Relocation debated. Theo's school, roots deep. Stay, we decided. New York's our vein. Twists tempered joy. Evan's wedding invite. Straight, surprise, to a childhood friend. Attendance fraud. We went, support solid. His toast nodded us. Found my way, thanks to yours. Closure complete. Theo's 5th birthday. Park picnic, piñata bursting candy confetti. As he squealed, Jordan leaned in. Best plot we plotted. Laughter free, future vast. Years layered, Theo growing. Soccer games, art classes echoing Jordan's. School projects on family heroes. Our photos pinned proud. Challenges came, bullying whispers, my testimony at hearings shielding him. But home held. Dinners debating dinosaurs. Bedtime tales of how Dadas met. 10th anniversary. Coffee shop pilgrimage. Theo wide-eyed at the magic booth. Toast to never endings. His grin and more adventures. Legacy bloomed. Jordan's Foundation, grants for young queer artists. My nonprofit arm, Pro Bono Global. Theo, team tending, interned, camera in one hand, briefcase in other. Like you both, he'd say. One rainy eve, echoing origins, Theo asked, why do you say never, Papa? Jordan's arm around us. To find this always. In the downpour's song, proof eternal, love, overheard, undeniable.